While China flexes military muscle in the South China Sea and Taiwan tensions reach boiling point, one Southeast Asian nation just quietly acquired a weapon system so advanced it could sink entire enemy fleets from land. The Philippines dropped to 41st in global military rankings, but that number tells a dangerously incomplete story. It's 2025, and the Philippines sits at the epicenter of what military analysts are calling the world's most dangerous flashpoint. To the north, Taiwan Strait tensions have never been higher. To the west, Chinese warships patrol waters they claim as their own, directly challenging Filipino fishermen and naval vessels. But here's what most people don't realize, and what I'll prove to you by the end of this video: the Philippine Army isn't just preparing for conflict. They've been quietly building something that could completely reshape the balance of power in the entire region. The transformation started with a simple realization. For decades, the Philippine Army was designed for one mission: internal security, fighting insurgents in jungles, securing urban areas against terrorism, maintaining peace within their borders. They were good at it, battle-tested, experienced, tough. But external threats? That was a different game entirely. Then everything changed. Lieutenant General Antonio G. Nafarit took command on July 31st, 2025, inheriting an army in the midst of its most dramatic transformation since World War II. Under his leadership, soldiers who once carried basic rifles through jungle paths are now training with systems that can strike targets 1,000 kilometers away. You might be thinking, how does a military that ranks 41st globally suddenly become a regional game changer? The answer lies in 3 revolutionary developments happening right now, and the third one will blow your mind. Here's a number that should terrify China's military planners: $4.38 billion. That's the Philippines' 2025 defense budget, a 6.4% increase from 2024, representing the biggest peacetime military spending surge in Philippine history. But wait, it gets more interesting. The Philippine Army alone received $2.4 billion of that budget, more than any other branch of the military. This isn't just money sitting in accounts. This is active, aggressive modernization happening at breakneck speed. But here's where it gets really crazy. They have a dedicated modernization fund of $875 million guaranteed for this year. On top of that, there's 40 billion pesos in standby funding ready for immediate deployment if regional tensions escalate. Think about that for a moment. If tomorrow China makes an aggressive move, the Philippines can fast-track military purchases without waiting for another budget cycle. The Horizon 3 program? $35 billion over the next decade. That's not upgrade money, that's transformation money. Compare this to just 5 years ago. In 2020, the entire defense budget was barely $3.2 billion. Military equipment upgrades went from 1.8 billion pesos in 2023 to 4.3 billion in 2025. That's not growth, that's an explosion. But money means nothing without knowing how to spend it. And that's where the second revolution comes in. Walk into any Philippine Army base today and you'll witness something unprecedented. The complete overhaul of a military force in real time. Your average Filipino soldier in 2025 carries equipment that would make their predecessors jealous. The core remains solid. M16A1 rifles, M4 carbines, reliable and battle-tested. But now you'll see Steyr AUGs, Galil rifles, and sleek Heckler & Koch G36 giving troops modular, adaptable firepower for any mission profile. Close quarters combat. MP5 submachine guns deliver precision in tight spaces. Sustained fire support? Over 6,000 Daewoo K3 light machine guns provide devastating suppression. Long-range precision. M21 sniper systems can disable key targets from hundreds of meters. Heavy direct fire. The legendary M2 Browning .50 caliber machine gun still shreds light vehicles and fortifications. But here's what makes this interesting. It's not just about individual weapons anymore. The armor revolution is equally dramatic. Yes, they still field reliable M113 armored personnel carriers and V150 commandos that have served for decades. But now you'll see ACV-15 infantry fighting vehicles rolling alongside them. Better protection, better firepower, designed for modern mechanized warfare. The game changer? Sabre light tanks armed with 105mm guns. These aren't your grandfather's tanks. They're lighter, more agile, perfect for island warfare where mobility trumps heavy armor. And in the pipeline are VBTPMR Gani armored vehicles. Amphibious, modular platforms that can serve as troop transports, command posts, or mortar carriers depending on mission needs. Artillery tells an even more compelling story. The Atmos 2000 truck-mounted 155mm howitzers represent a complete philosophy shift. These systems can shoot and scoot, hitting targets with precision from long range, then moving before counterfire arrives. This isn't defensive positioning anymore. This is offensive capability, but weapons mean nothing without the warriors who wield them. And the Philippine Army's elite forces are becoming something truly formidable. Most people have never heard of the Philippine Army's Special Operations Command. That's intentional. The 1st Scout Ranger Regiment are masters of jungle warfare, ambush tactics, and stealth operations. Insurgents fear them for their ability to appear from nowhere, strike hard, and vanish back into terrain they know better than anyone else. The Special Forces Regiment, paratroopers trained to deploy anywhere, anytime. They specialize in unconventional warfare, reconnaissance, and counter-terrorism. Drop them behind enemy lines, and they'll either gather intelligence or create havoc, depending on the mission. Then there's the Light Reaction Regiment, nicknamed the Luna Sharpshooters. These are the Philippine Army's top-tier counter-terror unit, modeled after the U.S. Army's Delta Force. Their missions are high-risk, high-precision, and often classified. Exact numbers? That's classified too. But their impact on potential battlefields is anything but hidden. Here's what makes these units truly dangerous in 2025. They're not training alone anymore. U.S. Special Forces work side by side with Filipino elite units, not just in classrooms but in live-fire drills, close quarters combat training, and joint operations planning. From sniper marksmanship to urban assault tactics, decades of American combat experience are being directly transferred to Philippines' best soldiers. The annual Balikatan exercises with the United States have evolved into one of the largest joint training events in the Indo-Pacific. But 2025 brought something unprecedented. Japan joined as a full partner for the first time in history, bringing their own troops, equipment, and naval vessels. These aren't symbolic exercises. Live-fire coastal defense missile launches, amphibious assault rehearsals, air-ground coordination drills. They're preparing for specific scenarios everyone knows, but nobody discusses publicly. But training and equipment only tell part of the story. The real question is, how does this actually measure up against regional competitors? By Global Firepower's 2025 rankings, the Philippines sits at 41st out of 145 nations, with a power index of 0.6987. That actually represents a drop of 7 positions from the previous year. Wait. If they're spending more money and getting better equipment, why did they drop in rankings? The answer reveals something crucial about how military power actually works. Other nations are modernizing too, and the Global Firepower Index weighs different factors than raw capability improvement. It considers total military assets, geography, resources, and industrial capacity. But here's what rankings can't measure: battle experience, strategic positioning, and alliance integration. The Philippine Army fields 110,000 active soldiers with another 1.2 million in reserves. That's not just numbers on paper. These are forces with real combat experience from decades of counterinsurgency operations. They know how to fight, how to operate in challenging terrain, and how to adapt quickly to changing threats. More importantly, they're positioned at the geographic heart of the world's most contested waters. Control the Philippines, and you control shipping lanes that carry 60% of global maritime trade. Threaten the Philippines, and you threaten the economic lifelines of Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and beyond. Regional rankings tell a more complete story. In Southeast Asia, the Philippines ranks roughly 6th overall, behind powerhouses like Indonesia and Thailand, but ahead of nations like Malaysia and Singapore in total military capability. But raw rankings miss the most important development of 2025. And this is where that opening promise gets paid off. While military analysts focused on traditional measurements of power, tanks, planes, personnel numbers, the Philippine Army was quietly acquiring something that could change everything. Working side by side with U.S. forces, Philippine Army units tested the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, known as NEMSIS. This isn't just another weapon system. This is a mobile, vehicle-mounted missile launcher armed with naval strike missiles designed to sink ships well beyond the horizon. Think about the implications for a moment. For the first time in Philippine military history, Army ground units, not just naval forces, could deny enemy fleets access to Philippine waters with precision strikes. Any hostile ships approaching could be engaged from land-based positions they never see coming. But that's not the most revolutionary part. Philippine Army troops received extensive training on the Typhoon mid-range capability system, another US-developed launcher with dual capabilities that sound like science fiction. This system can fire SM-6 interceptors for air and missile defense, protecting against incoming aircraft and missiles. But it can also launch Tomahawk cruise missiles for deep strike missions. The Philippine Army isn't just acquiring these systems for testing. Plans are in motion for Manila to purchase both NEMSIS for immediate coastal interdiction and Typhoon for long-range deterrence. Together, they transform the Philippine Army from a largely defensive ground force into a regional precision strike player, not just capable of shaping land battles, but influencing the balance of power across the entire West Philippine Sea. This transformation creates a completely new strategic reality in Southeast Asia. Traditionally, the Philippine Army's role was limited: secure the homeland, fight insurgents, maintain internal stability. Navy handled maritime threats, Air Force managed aerial defense. Clean divisions of responsibility. Not anymore. With NEMSIS and Typhoon systems, the Army becomes a multi-domain force. Their soldiers can influence naval battles from land positions. They can strike air bases, naval facilities, and command centers hundreds of kilometers away. They can provide area denial that makes hostile military operations exponentially more difficult and expensive. For potential adversaries, this creates a nightmare scenario. Instead of planning operations against predictable naval and air defenses, they now face ground-based threats that can appear anywhere across the Philippine archipelago's 7,641 islands. The message to any potential aggressor is clear. The cost of military action in the region just increased dramatically. This military shift is part of a wider Indo-Pacific realignment. The Philippines sits at the heart of the first island chain, a defensive line stretching from Japan to Southeast Asia. Control of this chain means control of Pacific access, which is why disputes in the South China Sea go far beyond fishing or oil. The Army's modernization cements the Philippines as a key link in Allied strategy and marks a clear choice: aligning with traditional partners. Public opinion now strongly favors deeper cooperation with the US and allies, fueled by rising tensions with China. That support gives leaders the mandate to sustain defense spending and modernization without political pushback. The 2025 exercise schedule shows unmatched integration with allies. Balakatan now draws over 16,000 troops, testing live-fire systems and joint tactics. Japan brings vital skills in electronic warfare, anti-submarine operations, and precision strikes. Beyond major drills, Filipino Special Forces train in the US, Australia, and beyond, returning with cutting-edge expertise in night raids, amphibious assaults, and counter-terrorism. New programs ensure soldiers can operate advanced gear without relying on foreign contractors. Most importantly, communication and coordination protocols now align seamlessly with allied forces. The result, a Philippine Army ready to fight alone if needed, but exponentially stronger as part of a coalition. Beyond 2025, the Philippine Army is set for steady growth. Defense budgets project increases through 2030, focused on advanced missiles, stronger air defenses, and modern command systems. The Rehorizon 3 program ensures upgrades follow a clear roadmap, avoiding past stop-and-go delays. Personnel training is building a professional force ready to handle high-tech systems while carrying forward the adaptability shaped by years of counterinsurgency. Industrial partnerships with allies are also boosting domestic production, cutting foreign dependence, and creating local economic benefits. By 2030, the Army will look vastly different, modernized not only in weapons, but in doctrine, leadership, and regional influence. The Philippine Army's transformation marks a historic shift, moving from internal security to credible external defense while preserving democratic control. This took major investment, political will, and long-term patience. But the payoff is clear. Deterrence has strengthened, alliances are deeper, and regional stability is more secure. Adversaries now face higher risks, while allies gain a stronger partner in collective defense. For Filipinos, it means a military finally equipped to protect their nation with modern tools and trusted partnerships. The Army of today isn't the force struggling with shortages years ago. It's a capable, professional, and modern military shaping Southeast Asia's security landscape for decades ahead. The Philippine Army's rise from 41st global ranking to regional precision strike capability proves that smart investment and strong alliances can transform military power faster than anyone predicted. While rankings tell one story, the real story is playing out in South China Sea waters, where new Filipino capabilities are quietly changing the strategic calculus for every major power in the region. What other military transformations are happening under the radar? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that subscribe button, and hit the bell icon for more defense analysis that reveals what mainstream media misses completely.